So what I got here today is my 2015 Ram 1500. This is the 3.6 liter, and the problem that I have is started the car in the morning. You're gonna hear some sounds of water or coolant inside the cabin, and when I looked under, it was leaking. So you can see I backed out. Good thing it's raining kind of today, so it washed it off. But so I looked everywhere. I looked under the car. It does look like it's leaking from, you can see a spot over there, and the transmission. You can see all this wet stuff all the way in the back here, and then it's coming all the way from top of the transmission. So it does look a lot scarier than it actually is. Apparently it's a common problem on these. So when I did some digging around, I'll show you what I found. I did not take anything apart, so you guys accept this piece right here. This is the upper intake for the air. Let's pop the hood. So that intake connects right here, also connects right here, and has one plug. Let me grab a step stool. So to show you guys a little bit better, I got my flashlight here. I looked everywhere. I thought maybe there's a transmission cooler on the bottom over there that the coolant goes through to cool off the transmission, and it's really hard to get to. And obviously if you're looking over here, it's hard to get to the back of the transmission over there. So after digging around, I found out that there's another cooler that's attached to the oil filter to cool off the engine oil, and it has an issue most likely, because if you look down there, you see all that red coolant. So I will start taking this apart. I want to take you guys with me on this. So if you're experiencing the same problem, maybe this will help. So stay tuned. Alright, so first thing what I did, went ahead and disconnected the negative battery terminal, just in case. We never know what we're dealing with. Plus we got the connections to the throttle body and so on. So on the right side, on the driver's side, what I did, there's one tube here. Go ahead, disconnect it. There's a couple retainers. One goes here, one goes here, one goes on the bottom over here. Also there's a few plugs. One is right here, which is plugged like this, and one on the throttle body itself over here, which is right here. The reason for that is because they are connected to the intake manifold, and we do need access to 10mm. So there's two here, and there's two over there. Shouldn't be a problem to reach. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the passenger side. We'll need to disconnect a few pipes. Let's see, disconnect this valve over here. Then we need to disconnect the main power to the car. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. So on this side, in order to take the intake manifold, the upper part is, there's two tubes like I showed you guys before here. then they're only connected really here and through these little tube holders, and all the way in the back as well. You just use a negative screwdriver, pry them out. Over here on this main connector, so there's a button on top, and you push it and slide it towards yourself. The reason is because it is connected by a 10mm 2 bolts directly to the intake manifold, and we need to take those off. So I'll go ahead, take this off, and there's 4 10mm here, 2 here, 2 there, and I'll start taking the manifold off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, there's one in the back, 7. There's one all the way in the back, so there's 7. I believe they are 8mm bolts. So if you unscrew those, I will go ahead and do it right now, and I'll be back to see if there's anything I missed. So I went ahead and unscrewed all the bolts and screws and nuts. So these 4 that are here are 10mm, everything else is 8mm, and these ones, most of them I got with a ratchet, with a socket ratchet. These 2 are the only ones that I used a 10mm regular ratchet, and once you get them done, you can fish it out with your hand fairly easy. All these I was able to get with a battery ratchet with a socket, no issues. These bolts right here, they're not meant to be taken out, so before trying to remove this intake manifold, just make sure they're all loose. The only thing I missed on this, when unscrewing this right here, there's 2 more retaining plastics that are right here, and don't forget there's 1 more screw in the back. So I assume because this metal is not movable, you have to kind of pick it up and push it to the passenger side. So let's do that. Oh, that was fairly easy. Yep, push it to the passenger side, and all this comes out fairly easy. There you have it. There's this piece, there's the other piece. There you have it. So now let's go ahead and get this foam removed. We don't need that. And let's see what's going on next. So I went ahead and checked it out. The only thing I've done so far is disconnected the fuel rails. It's only 1 connector, it looks like it, and then it goes over here and comes to this one. So all you have to do, this green tab plastic, you push it from both sides, hold it with something and snap this out. Just move it out of the way. Some fuel will come out, but that's okay. So looks like the only thing we have to do here, doesn't look like we have to remove the fuel rails, so leave them on the lower manifold itself. They should come up with the manifold once we remove those screws, but before that you don't have to remove the tabs from the coils. We have to remove the tabs from the injectors, all these with the red tab. So all it is prying up the red tab and pressing the little thing, and it should come up on both sides. So let me do that and I'll be back. So getting the injector tabs out, driver's side, we have passenger side, that should be it. There's also 2 retainer clips, one right here, one right here. I actually had to climb into the engine bay because they're just so far to get. Just be careful, don't break any of these tips off. And another thing to watch out for, be very careful, do not drop anything in these because they will go straight to the engine. Then you will have serious problems. Anyways, I do recommend, once you're here, your local AutoZone store or Rallies, anywhere, or online, buy all these new gaskets. There's 6 here, 6 on the bottom, and I do strongly recommend, once you're here, because you have such an easy access, replay depending on your mileage. I would go ahead, doesn't matter what the mileage is, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the spark plugs and so on. Might as well, since I'm here, I'm gonna replace the serpentine belt and so on. And also obviously, because you're gonna be removing this. So had a technical difficulty, my GoPro ended up dying, so let's see, where did I get off. We are getting down to this thing anyways, to replace this, the whole unit. You will see after I remove the manifold. So either way, you're gonna have to flush the oil from the engine, so just make sure you have that ready, because there's oil in here. Obviously it's gonna leak everywhere. So I went ahead and did all the bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one all the way in the back here, 7 and 8. Just make sure they're all on tight. And like I said before, you don't need to remove the fuel rails if you're doing this. It should just come off fairly easy. Let me see, it's kind of hard doing it with one hand, so let me take that off and I'll get back. And there you go, I have it. So there was one more retainer clip that goes in the back of this right here. So once you take that off, this thing just pops up. Just be careful, it has some fuel in it. And also, this is the other 6 gaskets on the bottom that I was talking about. I'm gonna put it aside. So there's your lower and upper intake manifold. Also, have yourselves some shop towels ready. As I'm not replacing this today, so this is one unit right here. So this is attached to the oil cooler, and there's 4 seals that one receives coolant, one lets go of coolant. And let me grab a flashlight real quick. In my case, as you can see, this is filled with coolant. So one of those seals gave out, and apparently it's a common issue. They do make this part right here fully aluminum, including with a filter as well, housing. So new seals, new everything. I did order that part, so this is going to be part number 1 on how to take things apart. I went ahead to the store today, purchased the spark plugs, the serpentine belt. I will make a separate video on how to replace those as well. So if you want to see me replace that unit, stay tuned for part 2. It should be up in another week or so. All right, hopefully this helps. See you guys.